A genius miracle doctor turns into a serial killer. He does not hesitate to kill innocent people, yet behind his killings, there is a shocking and unexpected reason. Recently, more than 10 serial murders happened in one city. Following the clues, the police finally locked onto a suspect. Tonight, the team breaks in by force. The killer is inside. On the operating table lies a patient. From his behavior, the killer seems to be a doctor. Later that night, Prosecutor Cha questions Wu Jiam. Wu Jiam calmly admits he was developing a new drug for terminal illness. This drug could cure almost every serious disease. Before his arrest, he was treating that patient, a man with late-stage cancer. If the police had not rushed in, that man would already have a new life. As for the human organs and body parts in the fridge, they were for clinical tests to develop the drug. If the drug wants to succeed, it must be tested on living humans. Prosecutor Cha keeps pressing Wu Jiam. She wants to know how many he killed and where the bodies are. Wu Jiam simply draws a 0 in his notebook. He killed 17 people in total. But their deaths will save countless others. If you calculate it that way, it is like he killed no one at all. Facing Wu Jiam's self-proclaimed savior speech, Prosecutor Cha refuses to believe him. In her eyes, Wu Jiam is nothing but a serial killer, yet not everyone thinks the same. One of them is the lawyer Han Jun. Han Jun takes cases for the rich against his own conscience. Because he needs money for his daughter's treatment. His daughter suffers from a rare genetic disease. Over the past few years, Han Jun has been searching everywhere for a cure. Hard work finally pays off. A few days ago, Han Jun finally contacted a drug dealer. The dealer told him a new medicine that could cure the disease was being developed. Even though the drug was still in the testing stage, early clinical results showed the effect of the medicine was very promising. Watching his daughter's condition get worse day by day, Han Jun placed all his hope on this drug, but he never expected recently, the drug dealer suddenly disappeared without a trace. Just as Han Jun was feeling anxious, an old acquaintance, reporter Zhang, contacted him. Reporter Zhang recommended a new client to him. That client was Wu Jiam, the serial killer who murdered 17 people. It is said Wu Jiam personally asked for Han Jun to be his lawyer. If Han Jun agrees, he will receive an 8-digit legal fee. Han Jun cannot understand why Wu Jiam does not hire a famous law firm. Reporter Zhang explains Wu Jiam mentioned the missing drug dealer, and that dealer was one of the victims killed by Wu Jiam. After learning the dealer was murdered, Han Jun realizes this case is not simple. He asks the reporter to arrange a meeting with Wu Jiam. After they meet, Han Jun goes straight to the point and asks Wu Jiam if he really killed the drug dealer. Wu Jiam openly admits it was indeed his doing. Han Jun then asks what about the medicine the dealer was developing. Wu Jiam remains calm and unhurried. He even casually says the name of Han Jun's daughter. Clearly he knows about the girl's illness and he understands Han Jun's deep desire to cure her. Wu Jiam reminds Han Jun the drug the dealer talked about can never cure his daughter's illness, but he can. Han Jun does not believe him. Wu Jiam firmly says Han Jun will definitely take his case as long as Han Jun sees the patients he has cured. He will understand what he is capable of, because those people were all terminal patients who had been given up on. Hearing this, Han Jun feels shocked and asks reporter Zhang about Wu Jiam. The reporter does not know much, but before his arrest, Wu Jiam contacted him on his own. At that time, the reporter personally saw several terminal patients truly cured by Wu Jiam. Han Jun is still not fully convinced. He decides to meet one of the cured patients himself. After some investigation, Han Jun finds a young man who once had polio, Mr. Kong. It is said Mr. Kong used to be in a wheelchair, but later, he was miraculously healed by Wu Jiam. Han Jun immediately goes to find him and what he sees leaves him in deep shock. Right in front of him, Mr. Kong runs and jumps with ease. His legs now look completely normal. It seems Wu Jiam truly has hands that can bring people back to life. Prosecutor Cha still looks at Wu Jiam with contempt in her eyes. Even if he saved thousands, as long as he killed, he is still a murderer and a criminal beyond forgiveness, not some god who stands above everyone. The lie detector results come out quickly, confirming that Wu Jiam did not lie. His reason for killing was indeed to save even more people. Because of this, Wu Jiam writes his crime statement as the story of a great man. Facing Prosecutor Cha's questioning, Wu Jiam explains how he developed the drug. He poured the leftover medicine into a flower pot. The next day, he discovered the dying flower had bloomed again. After that, Wu Jiam poured the same drug into a fish tank. The fish that were about to die came back to life overnight. So later on, Wu Jiam chose humans as his test subjects. From that moment, his crazy research began. While explaining how he developed the drug, Wu Jiam tries to make a deal with Prosecutor Cha. He gives up the locations where he dumped the bodies and promises to admit the murders in court. In exchange, Prosecutor Cha must give him one chance to personally demonstrate in court for everyone to see. To show how without a scalpel, he can bring a terminal patient back to life. Based on the locations Wu Jiam provided, the police find the victims' bodies in the mountains. Even so, Prosecutor Cha has no plan to accept his deal. She even plans that in court, she will push for the death penalty. On the other hand, after seeing Mr. Kong reborn because of Wu Jiam, Han Jun grows even more curious about him. During their next meeting, Woo Jiam tells Han Jun his own story. A few years ago, he was in a serious car accident and afterward, he became a vegetable. What is even more shocking, after 3 years in a coma, Woo Jiam suddenly woke up. However, after waking up, he was tortured by the aftereffects of the accident and lived in constant pain. As the top genius student in medical school, Woo Jiam decided to experiment on himself. He wanted to find the cause of his condition and cure it. After countless experiments, Woo Jiam finally developed a special drug. This medicine not only cured his aftereffects perfectly, it also became a powerful cure for many other serious diseases. Soon after, the trial began. In the courtroom, Prosecutor Cha revealed photos of the recovered bodies. The bodies were badly damaged and cut apart. Prosecutor Cha declared if Woo Jiam's goal was only medical research, there was no need to destroy the bodies like that. In addition, she discovered among the people Woo Jiam killed, one of them was the driver who caused his car accident years ago. The driver who caused his accident was indeed the same man responsible for that crash. Prosecutor Cha firmly stated Woo Jiam's so-called purpose was simply revenge and hatred. His actions were cold-blooded and carefully planned murder. Han Jun did not offer any defense at that moment. He only told the court at the next hearing, he would ask those 6 cured patients to appear in court. Outside the courtroom, Woo Jiam pressured Han Jun. Han Jun must find a way to reduce his sentence or his daughter would have no chance to live. To save his daughter, Han Jun has no choice but to hold on to Woo Jiam as his only hope. After the first trial, Han Jun resigns from his law firm and joins reporter Zhang's private studio, planning to fight side by side with him. With Han Jun's suggestion, reporter Zhang writes an article. The title reads "Why is the prosecutor ignoring the truth?" Once the article spreads, the prosecution office feels strong pressure. Even so, Prosecutor Cha still refuses to compromise. For the next hearing, Han Jun begins searching for the 6 cured patients and their families. The first one is Mr. Kang's mother. Unexpectedly, she refuses to testify in court. She does not want people to know her son was cured by a killer. With almost no results, Han Jun goes to the court to meet the chief prosecutor. In fact, Prosecutor Cha and Han Jun are not strangers to each other. Back then, Han Jun taught at the Judicial Training Institute and Prosecutor Cha was once his student. She was also the smartest among them. But times have changed. Now Prosecutor Cha shows no respect to her former teacher. Instead, she speaks sharply and challenges him at every turn. Han Jun tells the chief several witnesses have agreed to appear. The chief replies at the next hearing, the focus will be on Woo Jiam's motive, to decide whether his motive was simple killing or truly to treat patients. That night, the secretary from Han Jun's former law firm comes to see him. The secretary sincerely wants to follow and support him, believing her social skills can help. Han Jun gives her the task of contacting the witnesses. With her honest and skillful persuasion, Mr. Kang's mother and another cured leukemia patient agree to testify, but at the same time, they hand her a letter from Woo Jiam. In the letter, Woo Jiam threatens to expose the witnesses. Han Jun quickly realizes the witnesses chose to appear in court not out of gratitude for being cured, but out of fear of him. To stop Woo Jiam from pressuring them and ruining the defense, Han Jun warns him without his approval, he must not contact any witness in any way. At the second trial, Mr. Kang's mother honestly tells the court how her son was miraculously cured. However, Prosecutor Cha is fully prepared. She calls a researcher from the National Forensic Institute. The researcher testifies so far, there has never been a single proven case of polio being cured. Therefore, he concludes Mr. Kang did not actually have polio, it only looked like it, but was another similar disease that could be treated. As the researcher finishes his testimony, the mood in the courtroom slowly turns against Woo Jiam. What shocks Han Jun even more is the leukemia patient. Mr. Song suddenly sides with the prosecution and becomes Prosecutor Cha's witness. Mr. Song testifies that Woo Jiam is a liar, because his illness has returned. Due to Mr. Song's testimony, in this hearing, Han Jun clearly falls behind, yet the truth keeps twisting in unexpected ways. After the trial, Prosecutor Cha goes to see Mr. Song. Mr. Song tells her after being cured by Woo Jiam, out of fear, he went back to the hospital for another surgery. But he then remembers Woo Jiam's warning during the arrest. Woo Jiam had clearly said patients cured by him must never return to the hospital. Mixing 2 different treatment methods would be deadly for the patient. Prosecutor Cha realizes Woo Jiam really did cure Mr. Song. The illness came back because Mr. Song did not follow the medical advice. However, at this critical moment, Han Jun begins to doubt Woo Jiam. He suspects Woo Jiam only wants to prove his medical skill to the world. Woo Jiam admits he does want to prove himself. By killing 17 people, Woo Jiam completed the testing of his drug. He claims this special medicine can cure every terminal illness in the world, to save those suffering from deadly diseases. His daughter is now on the edge of death. Lawyer Han Jun makes a desperate bet and decides to defend Woo Jiam. Han Jun's wife is a doctor. She strongly opposes her husband's reckless and baseless choice. She insists he should not place their daughter's fate in the hands of a killer. Even though his wife says this, Han Jun still follows his own path. For the sake of his daughter, he is willing to risk his life again and again. Han Jun's opponent, Prosecutor Cha, is determined to see Woo Jiam found guilty and sentenced. To reach her goal, she contacts a lawmaker who wants attention before the election. Hoping he will appear on a talk show, the lawmaker agrees. On the show, he speaks with great passion, especially repeating that Wu Jiam must be sentenced to death. He says the death penalty is the final way to bring justice. Even more, the lawmaker calls out to Han Jun during the program, urging him to step down from defending a murderer. Because of the lawmaker's public show, overnight, Han Jun becomes the most talked about and attacked lawyer online. However, this is not the result Prosecutor Cha wanted. Prosecutor Cha meets with the lawmaker. The lawmaker also brings the secretary who planned the show. The secretary proudly asks for credit, but Prosecutor Cha openly criticizes them instead. She says the lawmaker's performance on the show only created cheap drama and added no real value. More importantly, she recommended the lawmaker to appear to spark public debate about the death penalty, not to push Han Jun into the center of a media storm. Even though they stand on opposite sides, Prosecutor Cha has no plan to smear or attack Han Jun. Han Jun keeps working hard to prepare the defense. With help from reporter Zhang, Han Jun discovers the 17 people killed by Wu Jiam all had criminal records and serious charges. After confirming this, Han Jun immediately asks the reporter to write an article, trying to create a wave of opposite public opinion. This move really works, as the article spreads. The internet is filled with heated debates. Many people begin to change their tone. If Wu Jiam killed only to create a life-saving drug and all his test subjects were criminals beyond redemption, then who is the real monster? Is it Wu Jiam or those repeat offenders who never repent and escape the law? As these two waves of opinion clash, another court session begins on schedule. This time, Han Jun submits a key piece of evidence. The report confirms during medical school, Wu Jiam once submitted a proposal to a major medical group for his treatment research. The theory in that proposal is almost the same as the drug he talks about now. Back then, his proposal was highly praised and approved by the group. In other words, his claim about this special drug is not just a wild fantasy. But later, Wu Jiam was in a terrible car accident and lay in a hospital bed for 3 full years. Meanwhile, the driver who caused the crash escaped legal punishment. From that moment on, Wu Jiam decided to use serious criminals who try to exploit legal loopholes as his test subjects. In court, Han Jun stresses every person Wu Jiam killed was a piece of trash to society, not an innocent ordinary citizen. Prosecutor Cha objects to Han Jun's argument. She says the claim that Wu Jiam killed for medical research still cannot truly stand in court. Han Jun fires back and submits more documents. The records show the main ingredient of the drug is blood, and it is the defendant Wu Jiam's own blood. This is the real truth behind the so-called miracle drug. It turns out after Wu Jiam woke up from the car accident, his blood had mutated. This blood contained cells that could treat terminal illness. To prove this before, Han Jun obtained Wu Jiam's blood test results, confirming the facts matched what Wu Jiam said. His blood truly contained rare healing cells. To convince the court, Han Jun requested a medical demonstration, hoping that at the next hearing, Wu Jiam could use his blood to treat a terminal patient. After the trial, he faced the media. Han Jun made a bold statement that if Wu Jiam is lying, he is willing to take off his lawyer's robe. Even though she was caught off guard, Prosecutor Cha remains full of fighting spirit. She tells the media that the court is a place to prove crimes, not a stage to test a defendant's special ability. To strike back, Prosecutor Cha suddenly thinks maybe when Wu Jiam carried out those medical killings, he had an accomplice. To find this possible partner, she orders her junior to investigate with full effort. Han Jun is also wondering, during the entire medical experiment, there might have been other people who knew the truth. Wu Jiam once said after waking from his 3-year coma, his attending doctor discovered the blood mutation. Han Jun quickly meets this doctor surnamed Han. However, Dr. Han explains the so-called blood mutation was only his personal guess, not a proven fact. As for the miracle drug Wu Jiam described, it is very unstable. The blood therapy has never even reached real clinical trials. Dr. Han's words leave Han Jun feeling shaken, but when he turns around, he senses someone may be watching the doctor. Meanwhile, the National Forensic Team obtains a researcher's statement. Prosecutor Cha receives the researcher's testimony, confirming that at this stage, Wu Jiam's so-called miracle drug and blood therapy cannot be proven by science. With this testimony in hand, at the next court hearing, Prosecutor Cha asks the court to sentence Wu Jiam to death. Han Jun presents an opinion from the American Blood Association, hoping the court will consider a lighter sentence. He continues to request a medical demonstration. After careful debate and weighing all sides, the judge finally accepts the national forensic opinion and makes a decision that leaves Han Jun disappointed. Wu Jiam is sentenced to death. Facing the death sentence, Wu Jiam stays calm and unshaken as if he has another plan in mind. Soon after, Han Jun files an appeal against the first trial's death verdict. To make sure Prosecutor Cha can press her advantage, the higher office arranges a familiar colleague to be the second trial judge. Han Jun still plans to insist on the medical demonstration, but he also knows there is a high chance the request will be denied, so he decides to find an alternative plan that cannot fail. His daughter's condition can no longer wait. To keep his child alive, Han Jun has no choice but to place all his hope on Wu Jiam. before the second trial, Wu Jiam is held in a detention center. One of the inmates finds out that Wu Jiam killed his own brother to take revenge. That night, the inmate tries to gather others in the cell to attack Wu Jiam. But during the chaos, Wu Jiam suddenly collapses and starts convulsing. An ambulance rushes him to the hospital. Before losing consciousness, Wu Jiam tells the medical staff to call Dr. Han. Han Jun soon learns Wu Jiam has been taken to the hospital, yet he does not panic, because this incident is actually the alternative plan he set up. That day, Han Jun handed Wu Jiam a stack of medical records. The patients listed on them were all inmates in the prison. Han Jun asked Wu Jiam to choose one, then create a chance to use his blood to treat that inmate, so the court would finally believe in his ability. Wu Jiam quickly chooses one of them, an inmate who suffers from a congenital cornea injury. At the same time, he slightly adjusts Han Jun's plan. To prove his medical skill and his value, he is willing to risk everything. Today, Han Jun goes to the hospital to see Wu Jiam. The medical staff tell Han Jun thanks to Dr. Han's emergency treatment, Wu Jiam is now out of danger. In addition, Wu Jiam used his own blood to treat the inmate. Within just a few hours, the wound from Wu Jiam's stab healed rapidly. Even the congenital cornea damage was completely cured. Han Jun organizes this whole event into evidence and submits it to the judge, yet the judge still plans to reject the request. Han Jun stays calm and shows the judge an article. The headline reads, "Killer Wu Jiam saves a life in prison." As the article spreads and public opinion grows, the judge has no choice but to approve Han Jun's request for a medical demonstration. Before the second trial begins, Han Jun goes to see Dr. Han, hoping to persuade him to testify for Wu Jiam, but for unknown reasons, Dr. Han suddenly disappears. Thinking about the mysterious figure watching outside Dr. Han's house, later that night, Han Jun meets with Wu Jiam, wanting to know during the medical actions what role Dr. Han really played. Wu Jiam appears very calm and says Dr. Han was only his attending physician. He knew nothing about the miracle drug. That night, Prosecutor Cha comes to see Han Jun. Today, Prosecutor Cha learns about Han Jun's sick daughter and realizes the real reason he took this case. She hopes Han Jun will remember why he became a lawyer and return to the person he once was, the mentor who once showed no mercy in catching criminals. Han Jun speaks with emotion. His daughter's life hangs by a thread. Right now, he only cares about how to save his child. Nothing else matters to him. If Prosecutor Cha still believes in justice, then she should defeat him openly in court. A few days later, the court begins to choose the subject for the medical demonstration. Han Jun feels restless and anxious. He desperately hopes the chosen person will be his daughter. If everything goes well, his daughter could soon be completely cured, but reality strikes Han Jun hard. The one selected for the demonstration is the sick son of a couple. As the medical demonstration begins, Wu Jiam puts on his surgical gown. His restraints are removed. Then he draws his own blood to treat the boy. After the surgery ends, according to Wu Jiam, the boy will recover within 24 hours. That night, Han Jun and Prosecutor Cha each fall into anxious waiting. The news finally arrives. The boy with the terminal illness wakes up within the expected time. His body fully returns to normal, in an instant. The news that Wu Jiam saved a terminal patient hits the headlines. Han Jun wins a beautiful battle, but the secret behind everything slowly begins to surface. The hidden truth behind the story starts to appear. Tonight, a man comes to see Han Jun. The man introduces himself. He says he is the chairman of an international medical center. Facing the man in front of him, Han Jun suddenly feels nervous. Maybe behind Wu Jiam's case, there is still a deeper secret. The chairman tells Han Jun they plan to use Wu Jiam's blood to make a special medicine and hope Han Jun can persuade Wu Jiam. Hearing this, Han Jun gives no clear answer. The next day, the court is ready to announce the verdict in Wu Jiam's murder case. Outside the courthouse, some people demand Wu Jiam be sentenced to death while others see him as a savior. The two sides face each other. The tension in the air is extremely high. After the trial begins, Prosecutor Cha argues strongly. She stresses that even if Wu Jiam saved some lives, there is still no proof he truly has the power to cure terminal illness. Those patients who were said to be cured, no one knows whether they will suffer serious side effects. Han Jun fires back without hesitation. He reminds the court the earlier patients relapsed not because of Wu Jiam's treatment, but because they did not fully trust him and secretly received other treatments after surgery. The so-called side effects were caused by mixing two treatments that rejected each other. Han Jun believes Wu Jiam's blood can give hope to people trapped in despair. It is the dream of countless families with sick loved ones. Respecting that human desire is the true foundation of the law. After hearing both sides, as expected, the judge does not sentence Wu Jiam to death. Instead, he decides to send Wu Jiam to a medical isolation center under a correctional institution, where he will treat terminal patients and spend the rest of his life making up for his crimes. Coincidentally, the medical center Wu Jiam is sent to is Kaiyun Medical Center, home to the top medical team in Korea. On top of that, even though he is no longer in prison, Wu Jiam still wears an electronic ankle monitor and guards watch him outside the door 24 hours a day. Later, the chairman of Kaiyun makes a public announcement, promising that for public good and social welfare, they will fully support Wu Jiam's treatments. After the verdict, Han Jun meets Woo Jiam. Woo Jiam says he is not an ungrateful man. No matter what, Han Jun was the first person to believe in and support him, so once the treatment list is released, he will first save Han Jun's daughter. Hearing this, Han Jun is filled with hope, yet his daughter's condition grows worse day by day. Yesterday, she suddenly went blind. Today she is moved into intensive care. The doctor warns Han Jun to prepare for the worst. His daughter's situation is no longer hopeful. If they wait any longer, her life expectancy will only get shorter. For Han Jun, time is running out more than ever. Kaiyun decides to use a lottery system to choose which terminal patients Woo Jiam will treat. Woo Jiam receives the patient list, but strangely, Han Jun's daughter's name is not on it. To save his daughter, Han Jun goes to the medical center to see Woo Jiam. He even kneels down, begging Woo Jiam to save his daughter no matter what. For Han Jun, at this moment, Woo Jiam is his only last hope. At this critical time, yet danger still surrounds them. After losing the case, Prosecutor Cha is about to be transferred, but Prosecutor Cha refuses to accept it. As she investigates, she finds that years ago after Woo Jiam's car crash, Professor Han treated him. In the past, Professor Han was suspected in an illegal medical case. In that case, Professor Han never got the victim's consent. Yet he secretly carried out illegal human experiments. This Professor Han is also the first doctor who discovered Woo Jiam's blood has a special effect. The prosecutor office records confirm the people who cleared Professor Han back then were Prosecutor Cha's direct boss, the lawmaker Beck, who strongly pushed for the death penalty. Her professional instincts make Prosecutor Cha realize there must be a hidden secret behind all of this. Prosecutor Cha goes to her boss to question him, but he tells her to stop while she can and not dig any deeper. In secret, Tsai-Yun's chairman is searching for the missing Professor Han. He even orders his men whether dead or alive. They must find him no matter what. After many turns, his men locate the hotel where Professor Han was staying, but the professor has already run away. What they find in the room is an experiment journal the professor left behind. To be exact, this journal belongs to Woo Jiam. But soon, the chairman hands it to Tsai-Yun's medical research team. Within 1 week, the team produces results based on what is written inside. To uncover the truth, Prosecutor Cha comes to meet Tsai-Yun's chairman. Back then, Professor Han was a doctor under Kaiyun. People say the professor was also close friends with the chairman's father, both devoted to researching terminal diseases. Facing Prosecutor Cha's questions, the chairman admits the human experiment case did happen, but the patient's family agreed to it. Only later, that family member got greedy and demanded more money, so the two sides ended up in court. Hearing this, Prosecutor Cha brings up Woo Jiam. From what she knows, after the car crash when Woo Jiam was in a coma, he was also used as a test subject by Kaiyun. The chairman answers calmly, saying the experiment on Woo Jiam had his mother's signed consent. Besides clearing that up, the chairman also says his father died from a terminal illness too, so for him, helping more people escape the nightmare of terminal disease, building a better and warmer world is the dream of his whole life. But Prosecutor Cha remembers clearly, an officer once told her Woo Jiam's mother has already passed away. With questions in her mind, Prosecutor Cha goes to meet Officer Kong, who gave her the lead. They go together to Woo Jiam and his mother's old home. The front door is locked. Prosecutor Cha is about to break in when she suddenly notices someone is outside. Prosecutor Cha immediately chases after them, but she loses them by accident. Still she gets lucky. At the alley entrance, she runs into reporter Jang, who works with Han Jun and the secretary lady. It seems they also came to check out Woo Jiam's home, hoping to work with Prosecutor Cha. The secretary shares the clues she has found. According to her investigation, back then, the mother did not even know her son Woo Jiam had a car crash. She searched everywhere for him. In the end, with no news of her son, her health quickly got worse and she finally died from a heart attack. It is said her body was found by the river under a bridge. The secretary finds it strange. For someone who suffers a heart attack, it would be unlikely for the body to fall backward into the river. They pull out the file of Woo Jiam's mother and check her autopsy report. The report clearly states Woo Jiam's mother did die from a heart attack. Prosecutor Cha notices the officer who closed the case is someone she knows well, Officer Kong. At the same time, Han Jun also senses something strange about Kaiyun. He learns from Officer Kong that the car seen watching Professor Han's house belongs to Kaiyun. Based on this, Han Jun makes a judgment. The illegal medical case involving Professor Han must hide another secret. Maybe Woo Jiam is also involved. Because of this, Han Jun goes to see Prosecutor Cha. Prosecutor Cha shares her doubts with Han Jun. According to the chairman, Professor Han was close friends with his father and even a key founding figure who helped build half of Tsai-Yun's success. If that is true, then why would Kaiyun monitor this professor? Prosecutor Cha suspects the reason Professor Han is hiding may be to avoid Tsai-Yun's watchful eyes. At this point, Prosecutor Cha is willing to risk her whole career, planning to take a gamble, swearing to uncover the truth no matter what. As Prosecutor Cha's former mentor and senior, Han Jun suddenly changes his attitude and decides to help, promising to share all information related to Woo Jiam. Of course, Prosecutor Cha must also share intelligence from the prosecutor office. After agreeing to cooperate, Prosecutor Cha invites Officer Kong to dinner. During the meal, she casually asks, "Before working with me, which prosecutor did you partner with?" Officer Kong answers without thinking, "It was Prosecutor Cha's superior, that minister." What is even more unusual is that this minister-prosecutor was also directly in charge of Professor Han's illegal medical case back then. After getting the information shared by Prosecutor Cha, Han Jun senses something is wrong and decides to go to the medical center to meet Wu Jiam, planning to ask about his mother and Professor Han. But a secret storm has already started to rise. On this day, Wu Jiam needs to treat the other patients on the list. The disease of this patient is said to be extremely rare. Even Wu Jiam has never seen it before. The difficulty can be imagined. Following procedure, Wu Jiam is put in handcuffs and sent to the hospital where his blood is drawn to treat the patient. On the same day, Officer Kong discovers a body. The dead person is none other than Professor Han. After investigation, the professor had been dead for 2 days. The man Prosecutor Cha chased outside Wu Jiam's house that night was likely the professor himself. Prosecutor Cha is troubled by Professor Han's death when suddenly she receives a call. She learns that Wu Jiam has escaped from the hospital. What Prosecutor Cha does not know is that this was planned by Wu Jiam and Han Jun together. Several days earlier, the missing Professor Han had bribed a guard and secretly went to the medical center to meet Wu Jiam, providing him with the center's layout and routes. The reason he risked his life to help Wu Jiam is that Professor Han had his own goal. Wu Jiam once promised him he would not draw blood from himself forever. Once the plan succeeds, he promises he will create the cure. He will achieve the dream the professor chased his whole life. As for Wu Jiam escaping from the medical center, it all started just a few hours earlier. To save his daughter, Han Jun went to meet Wu Jiam. Wu Jiam once made a deal with Professor Han. The professor promised to help him escape, but after the professor was killed, Wu Jiam had no choice but to place his hope in Han Jun. He promised that if Han Jun helped him get out, he would cure his daughter. After Han Jun agreed, Wu Jiam asked to meet the chairman of Cha Yun Medical. Wu Jiam had already guessed that the chairman took his medical notebook, but he reminded the chairman the notes alone were useless. Without him, the special drug for terminal illness could never become reality. Wu Jiam firmly believed besides himself, no one understood the condition of his blood, and no one could control the progress of the experiment like he could, the development of the miracle drug. In other words, if the chairman wanted to make huge money from it, he had to rely on and protect Wu Jiam. Hearing Wu Jiam's confident analysis, the chairman finally showed his hidden fear. Later that night, Wu Jiam was put in handcuffs. Under the eyes of the media, he entered the medical demo site again. He was about to treat another child with a terminal illness, but today was also the day of his escape. As Wu Jiam walked into the operating room, Han Jun put on a mask and slipped into the site. Following the route Wu Jiam told him in advance, Han Jun avoided the cameras and security, successfully grabbed the hidden bag of clothes. A few days earlier, Professor Han had already bribed people inside the facility. The bribed staff shut off the power as instructed. In the sudden darkness, Wu Jiam quickly took down the medical staff inside the operating room. Then he runs down the dark stairwell and keeps escaping. At this moment, the guards realize Wu Jiam has fled and begin the search. Luckily, Han Jun is outside waiting to help. After changing into the clothes Han Jun prepared, Wu Jiam gets into Han Jun's car and successfully escapes. However, on the road, Han Jun notices a car from Cha Yun is following them. As he speeds up, Han Jun urgently calls his partner, reporter Zhang, but the car is rammed by the pursuers and crashes. In the accident, Wu Jiam is injured. Han Jun tries to reason with the people from Cha Yun, but they refuse to back down. Luckily, reporter Zhang arrives in time and holds them off. Han Jun and Wu Jiam manage to leave safely. Han Jun supports Wu Jiam and brings him to a house. His wife has already brought the woman who needs surgery. Han Jun asks his doctor wife to treat Wu Jiam's wounds, yet Wu Jiam ignores his own condition and insists on saving Han Jun's daughter first. Time is running out. Wu Jiam draws his own blood without hesitation and injects it into the girl. After the surgery is finished, he collapses on the spot from exhaustion. After Wu Jiam disappears, Cha Yun falls into an unprecedented crisis. Recently, the authorities launch a seizure and search against Cha Yun. Originally, the senior prosecutor refuses to sign the search warrant, but Prosecutor Cha has already made a deal with Han Jun's secretary. The secretary helps investigate and discovers that the deputy prosecutor and Congressman Beck, who supports abolishing the death penalty, are working together. The congressman sets up shell companies to collect political donations. Prosecutor Cha uses this as leverage against her superior and demands immediate approval for the search. The superior is put in a difficult position and has no choice but to cooperate. With the search warrant in hand, Prosecutor Cha first raids Congressman Beck's office, then she leads the team to Cha Yun Medical, but the chairman of Cha Yun has disappeared. At this moment, the chairman is meeting with shareholders and investors. The investors question him one after another. Now that Wu Jiam has escaped and Cha Yun is under investigation, if this continues, the company's stock will become nothing but worthless paper. The chairman promises he will fix everything to make money from the miracle drug. He is willing to do whatever it takes. In fact, the one who killed Professor Han was him. A few days earlier, Professor Han begged the chairman to rescue Wu Jiam first. The professor knew very well if they wanted to continue the drug research, Wu Jiam had to stop treating patients as soon as possible, otherwise his body and his blood would be drained sooner or later. For the professor, protecting the research he devoted his life to was everything, but the chairman ignored his advice. He even planned that before Wu Jiam's body changed, he would drain all of his blood. But now, with the professor dead, Wu Jiam on the run and Prosecutor Cha applying pressure, Cha Yun is drowning in trouble. Wu Jiam wakes up that same night. Han Jun's daughter finally recovers like a miracle. At this point, Han Jun and Wu Jiam finally choose to be honest with each other. Han Jun realizes Wu Jiam is not truly evil deep down. The distance between them came from Han Jun's early distrust, and now, Han Jun sincerely thanks Wu Jiam from his heart, hoping he can walk out of the darkness and welcome a brand new bright life. That night, Wu Jiam takes Han Jun to a bridge and finally tells him a secret he never shared before. Before the car accident, Wu Jiam once lived alone with his mother and depended on each other. At that time, he was the pride of the small town and the top student at medical school. One day, Wu Jiam suddenly received good news. Professor Han had read his thesis and wanted to meet him, but on the night of their meeting, Wu Jiam was suddenly involved in a car accident. After the crash, he was sent to a hospital under Cha Yun. The examination confirmed he carried no identification and his blood was extremely special. For the chairman who was desperate to develop a miracle drug, Wu Jiam was the perfect test subject. From that moment on, he was secretly hidden inside the hospital. During that time, his unaware mother kept searching for him, but the police officer worked together with Cha Yun and lied to her that Wu Jiam had died in the accident. However, the mother investigated on her own and found that Wu Jiam had not died at the scene. All the clues made her believe her son's so-called death must be linked to Cha Yun Hospital. To seek justice for her son, she gathered evidence everywhere, planning to sue Cha Yun for medical crimes. It was during this search for proof that she uncovered the secret Cha Yun was hiding. She discovered that Cha Yun used patients with no identity and no family for illegal medical experiments. She had reached the core of the secret. In the end, Cha Yun silenced her by killing her first. After that, because there was no research progress, Professor Han's team was replaced. To prevent the research data from leaking, Cha Yun began watching the professor day and night. At that exact time, Wu Jiam woke up from his vegetative state after the crash. To escape Cha Yun's control, Professor Han secretly took Wu Jiam away. Wu Jiam returned home and found the investigation clues his mother left behind before her death. Through this, Wu Jiam not only learns about Cha Yun's illegal experiments, he also tracks down Han Jun, Prosecutor Cha and reporter Zhang through his mother's notes. Originally, they were the people his mother planned to ask for help. After getting the investigation files, Wu Jiam checks everything himself and finally confirms that the congressman and the police officer are working with the chairman of Cha Yun, each side getting what they want. And tonight, to stop the stock price from crashing further, the chairman personally comes to find Wu Jiam, demanding that he return with him. Wu Jiam refuses and instead tries to kill the chairman to avenge his mother. During the struggle, Wu Jiam questions the chairman, asking why he went this far. Wu Jiam's investigation reveals that the chairman himself was also once a test subject of Cha Yun, but the chairman says he is different from Wu Jiam. He volunteered to become a test subject. Back then, his father could not find a suitable experiment subject. To help his father, he bravely offered himself. He chose to become his father's test subject. Even though he was still young, he stepped forward to be the experiment. Wu Jiam cannot accept the words of a madman. He pulls out a knife and stabs the chairman. He cannot allow more madmen to be born in this world. But at that moment, Prosecutor Cha arrives with the police and a shot is fired toward Wu Jiam. Unexpectedly, Han Jun steps in and takes the bullet for him. As he lies wounded, Han Jun begs Wu Jiam to stop. They are all exhausted. Wu Jiam is moved by Han Jun's words and walks toward the police on purpose. What he receives is the fatal bullet he expected. After the gunshot, Wu Jiam falls into the river, with Wu Jiam sacrificing his life. The situation finally turns around. The chairman is arrested immediately. The congressman and others connected to him are also investigated. Before choosing death, Wu Jiam hands a file to Han Jun. It contains evidence of Cha Yun's illegal medical experiments over the years, enough to prove that because of their crazy experiments, more than 200 innocent people have already died. However, Prosecutor Cha's investigation into Cha Yun is blocked because her own father is the powerful figure behind Cha Yun. Her father tries to persuade her to stop. But Prosecutor Cha is not an obedient daughter. No matter how her superiors and her father pressure her, she refuses to back down. Han Jun returns to the familiar bridge, carrying with him the only dose of the terminal illness cure found in Wu Jiam's home. It was Wu Jiam's final request to him. Wu Jiam leaves the choice to Han Jun. To use the drug to fight the forces blocking justice or to use it to save lives, everything depends on Han Jun's decision. In his hesitation, Han Jun almost throws the drug away, but at that moment, a familiar voice comes through the phone. It is Wu Jiam. It seems Wu Jiam did not die. The moral questions of medicine and the complex interests behind it have never truly come to an end. The story ends here. Alright, that is all for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.